Yeah. Mm. Yanni McYanni.
Yeah, but whenever
Guess what? We're on the air.
hey,
It's Tuesday.
how
As in,
y'all
like, the
doing?
day after the first day is
This is probably way
Tuesday.
too loud, but we don't care.
We're making noise. We're being heard. Hey, guys, stop the presses. We've got big news. Come on with me, guys. We've got some things to do over there.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
So we were talking about some things this morning.
We were talking about something. We were conversating.
We were discussing about the plight of the working man.
Oh wow. Yes.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Yes.
Monday's like, oh my God, I have to get over the fact that the weekend's over and now I'm here. Tuesday's
Right.
like, oh, I'm
Tuesday's
at work.
like, oh, this is serious.
Not
We're working.
not only am I at work, but tomorrow isn't Friday.
Tomorrow is work.
The next day isn't Friday.
The next day is work.
See, Wednesday's okay because like the day after tomorrow is Friday.
Yeah.
But Tuesday, man, you're in the doldrums. You're
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
There's nothing
Tuesday there's
to hold on
it's a
to.
barren wasteland. You're like, dang, I'm at work and I gotta be at work for the next 4 days.
Right.
Like, crazy.
Monday sucks because oh God, I'm at work.
yeah.
But you're not really at work yet.
Yeah.
You're busy bitching about it being at work.
Yeah.
Tuesday, it's like, oh my God, I'm here and I'm at work. Hey guys, I'm
Uh,
here and I'm at work.
Yeah, my least favorite day of school was always Tuesday.
It was Tuesday.
It was always Tuesday. Tuesday just gave me the most like annoyances. Always.
Well, yeah, because Tuesday, it's like they're giving you assignments for the rest of it. It's like Tuesdays.
See, the thing with Monday is it's hit or miss because sometimes I'm excited to get back to school or to get back to like whatever we were doing, but like sometimes I'm just like, nah, this ain't it. And then Tuesday just always sucks because I'm like, I'm here again, and I gotta keep being here.
So work, whether it's school, whether it's
Yeah.
like the doldrums. It's like stuck in a place where you can't move.
Well, so I'll tell you guys how this conversation came about. So I was scrolling through the Instagrams, and I came across this philosophy page that posted a Noam Chomsky.
Noam Chomsky.
Noam. My apologies, Noam Chomsky.
His name's not really Chomsky. Chomsky's
Really?
the name of the gnome from. Yeah, it's Chomsky. He doesn't have the P, but that's why. Okay.
You mean the G?
No, he doesn't have a P in it though. It's not Chomp.
No, I didn't say. Oh, I didn't say Chomp. Did I?
Yeah, because
Oh, I meant Chomsky. Sorry,
okay, so
I'm very confused by his name.
I'm gonna explain.
Okay.
There's a show called Troll Hunters
Yes.
by director Del Toro versus Benicio.
Okay. Yeah, he said Del Toro, and I assumed he meant Benicio.
Benicio,
Yeah, I assumed he meant that.
the low-cost Brad Pitt. Look at him. No, I love Benicio Del Toro, but there's a weird.
No, he's the
He does have-
Italian. He's the Italian Brad Pitt.
Well,
the
he's
Italian
Hispanic,
Brad
not Italian. I thought.
Pitt. Is he Hispanic?
Yeah.
Jeez.
How'd you
Yeah, Del Toro makes more sense for. Yeah, it's bull in Spanish.
The bull.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes
Benicio
more
the
sense.
bull.
I just assumed Italian when I looked
So
at
there was a character
him.
on the show called Noam Chomsky. He was a gnome with very sharp teeth.
You mean the
named
show called Trolls?
Troll Hunters?
Troll Hunters? Okay.
Not the other one.
Not the
Trolls,
other one.
Yeah.
There's too many troll
And
shows.
so there is a gnome that gets named Noam Chomsky because he's a gnome that bites.
Uh-huh.
So for those of you paying attention, the working class hero I've put up is Noam Chomsky because we're going to talk a little about Noam Chomsky.
So
No P.
this Noam Chomsky quote, he was basically saying, this is the quote. Almost everybody spends most of their life living in a totalitarian system. It's called having a job. So the idea that all of work and everything that people do as a job and things like that is a totalitarian system is kind of, it's a little far. But
the interesting part
But he
was,
does bring up a good point.
and then he said
Yeah.
that, okay, yes, people have the option of leaving this system.
Right.
This is his argument for why it's a totalitarian system.
Right.
Is you have the option of leaving this
But-
system, but you'll starve.
Right. Right.
So in other words, it's a life or death decision.
Yeah. It's join the system or die. Pretty much. I mean, I think what I take from it is definitely that I think people spend far too much time worrying about stability and not enough time worrying about happiness.
Okay.
And I think people betray themselves when they jump to, okay, I got to get a job, I got to get a job, I got to get a job, without taking the time to be like, okay, what do I want out of life?
So part of what I think debilitates us
Mm.
is we are very much in a cycle where what we think about is what do I want
Well,
as a motivator,
yeah,
as
yeah,
opposed to who do I want to be.
okay.
It's a thought of which. So I've made the suggestion a couple of times
Mm-hmm.
that in some ways this industrializing of America
Mm-hmm.
has led us to a point very similar to when we lived under nobles.
Mm.
Um, you showed up, you did your job, the noble gave you, in their day, not only support,
Right.
not only, they made sure there was a noblesse oblige, the
Mm-hmm.
obligation of the noble,
Mm-hmm.
the need to have a contract
Mm-hmm.
that makes it so that, yes, you're right, there has to be a quality of life of the people working has to matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that modern society has created a system where none of those attachments are there anymore. Now, when the noble has someone who's injured, he just fires them.
I think one of the there's
No obligation.
there's upsides and downsides in my opinion to the system we have now. And one of the upsides is that it's a little bit easier to get into the nobility. In the
Is it?
days of actual nobility, it was impossible. Like there was serfs. You were born a serf, you're gonna die a serf.
Well, no, but you could move up by way of
You can move up by way of marriage. You can move up by
craft.
yeah, craft. You can move up by
That
craft as
you
well.
but
Yes.
and there were
Um.
options to move into so indentured servitude was a thing,
Right.
but the idea behind it was okay. So don't think of school or teaching the way we think of it now.
Mhm.
Think of that as the system by which somebody joins a trade and then learns before they turn 18.
Well, I think in addition to it being easier to get into the quote unquote nobility of the day, it's also you also have less, like way less responsibility. Like the nobility and the kings and queens and stuff like that, they had a certain responsibility to treat their people relatively nicely because of the fact that their people could overthrow them.
Well, but I think there was the belief in an obligation that was beyond the mere fact that
No,
being overthrown.
it's beyond the fact of being overthrown maybe,
True
but
leadership is compassionate.
right. I think most leaders kind of just like having power though, to some extent.
I know, I think that's sort of true.
I mean, it's hard to speculate exactly what these leaders were thinking because they existed so long. Well, not it's actually really not that long ago because
Relative
like
time.
200, 300, 400 years ago, something like that.
You know what? I can call the Queen of England right now. No, I can't. I don't know. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, we still have royalty.
We still have royalty, definitely,
Look
but
to Saudi Arabia.
I would say like when would you say is like
The end of
the end of nobility as the primary leadership?
French Revolution.
French Revolution, yeah, I'd say
The
so.
French Revolution
So
is
that's
where
what?
you start to see the dominoes turn.
So early to mid 1800s.
Ish. Yeah.
Okay, so it starts to
I
fall.
think it even relates
Mhm.
to our struggle during the Civil War, defining
Mm.
once you go, okay, no,
Well, the thing
you
is,
can't treat people like
I
they're
think
not people,
I think this
then the obligation becomes much bigger.
I think the Civil War to me always struck me as a country trying to define who they want to be.
I think so.
Even more so than the Revolutionary War. The Revolutionary War was just us trying to get out from under the boot of England. Whereas the Civil War is really trying to
Is self-definition as
yeah,
opposed to
it's self-definition
self-preservation.
where like the North is like, hey, you can't just own people, and the South is like, yes, we can,
Well, but the
and
worst, but
it's an argument, and
that isn't the real argument, though.
okay,
The real argument ends up being can we secede? We are nations. Can we be separate nations? That's what the real fight's over.
Mm.
Because once this, if you let the South leave, other states may do so.
Mm-hmm.
We make it about slavery. I wish it was about slavery.
Right.
I wish it was as legitimately about slavery as we want it to be.
Okay.
But similar to the way in which we approach work, it's the motivations.
Mm.
So, what we were talking about was the idea that as opposed to being able to give service to all people, my goal,
Mm-hmm.
our current society would prefer that I give service to certain people for someone else at a desired rate.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Now, my experience is until we don't need you or we don't want you.
Mm-hmm.
That big thing right now is companies like to say you're part of a family, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Well, if you're part of a family, you don't have to worry about whether or not they're going to help you or pick you up.
I'm not super against capitalism, but one of the things I've never liked about capitalism is the idea that everything has a price. And I don't
Right.
I don't think that you can put a price on I don't think you can put a price on humans, and it anytime any company or any job gets close to doing that, I get like iffy about it, and I get really really uncomfortable with that idea. Like Amazon, I really don't like Amazon. I don't like Apple. I don't like Nike really. I like their shoes, but I don't really like Nike as a company. Um there's some companies that I look at their business model and the way that they do things, and I'm like, you're just putting a price on people and you're trying to get the lowest price you possibly can get. And to some extent it really
Forget that
irritates
that's
me.
by law.
Yeah,
So
it's the
that
way that it's
if you're
designed.
well, no, okay, beyond that, if you're a publicly traded company
Mhm.
with stockholders,
Mhm.
you are required by law to consider them in making financial decisions.
Mm.
So I see a point in history where businesses became more loyal to stockholders or where the money was
Mhm.
than the people that had built the business for them.
Mm.
That so what happens is we get to the point where we devalue life.
Yeah.
Um, but some of that is us. Some of it is so we're talking about this stuck in this grind.
Mhm. Some of it is the hamster constantly running in the wheel.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna express something that is one of the reasons we have problems here.
Mm.
I don't like money.
Yeah.
I have to have money. I have to pay.
Yeah.
There's bills that need paid. There are bills that need paid right now. Um, but spiritually,
Mm.
I don't feel right selling things.
I I view money as a necessary evil. I don't really so I don't like the idea of money having control over me. I don't like the idea that when I get money, I feel this urge to just spend it and splurge and get things that I don't need, and I don't like that I have that it has that power over me.
Right.
It's the same thing to me as like social media. Like I really don't like the idea that it has such control over my actions. Um but at the same time, I know that there are certain things that I need to get done, and there are certain things that I really want to get done. I'd like to get done. And in order to do those things, I have to do a certain level of playing in the system. And
Right.
it's really unfortunate, but that's the game, you know?
Well, and so I'm radically moved by the idea that I can't charge for my thoughts.
Mm.
I'd give away my book if I could.
Mhm.
I but so one of the things you're stuck in this nonprofit organization model,
Mhm.
not for profit being the first part of the term. I have an issue with the way in which society, for lack of a better term, measures dicks. Is how much can you take from somebody else?
Yeah.
So we go back to that work model. It's how little can I get away with paying somebody to work for me so that I can increase my profit and grow my company. This is
Right.
not a malicious
Right.
thought.
Right. It's not.
The
Yeah.
hardest part is we need to understand this perspective and not a malicious thought.
Right.
This is the system.
Yeah.
So what happens though is the system rewards taking from others. Look to our medical system. I mean, those of you not in the United States, our medical system is ridiculous. That it's a for-profit model. So I argue if you have for-profit medicine, you will have sick people.
Right.
If you have for-profit education, you will have uneducated people.
Yeah. You have to. 'Cause you
For-profit
have to
food,
keep,
you're
you
gonna
have
have
to keep
people
the system
hungry.
going somehow. You need a demand. You
You
yeah.
need some kind of income to stay open.
Yes.
Now, how do you deal with that big knot?
Right.
How do you go, wait a
How do you
minute,
begin to pull at the strings? Well, one of the things.
how do you Lloyd Dobler it? I don't want to buy anything bought, sold, or processed.
one of,
Sell anything bought or processed. Process anything bought. I don't know. There's a lot of things going on
There's
with
a lot
Lloyd
of things
Dobler.
he wants
Look
to
up
do,
Lloyd
yeah.
Dobler.
There's a lot
Very
of things he
important
wants
man in history.
Basically, like I think one of the ways you begin to do that is people like you have to get people to like believe in themselves to some extent. And I think one of the problems is that people don't believe that they have the ability to bring something to society other than just labor.
Well, okay, so let's skip back a bit.
I don't know.
I want to skip back a bit because I think some of it's an educational thing.
Mhm.
So now we're going back 400 years again, and we're doing the indentured servant / apprentice / So what we have as a primary system for educating the masses is how do I get somebody ready for a job?
Right.
Now, I think when we look at modern education,
Yeah.
as opposed to learning how to learn,
Right.
learning how to question.
Teaching to the test as opposed to teaching for the sake of learning.
Well, I think the most important thing we can pass on to our youth is not, this is what I want you to know. It's, this is how you can find out the things you want to know.
Right.
Because every perspective brings something different. The problem we run into is our whole system is designed based on moving forward the apprentice system. And so what we train people for is how to be at a job Monday through Friday.
Right.
And how to know the facts necessary to do a job. So, right, not even to a test, to a reality, to a societal norm.
So the funny part is we've had this conversation about education specifically several times. And like even before I ever met you, this is the closest I ever came to solving like the problem. And it's funny because every time we talk about it, we always come to the same conclusion, which is that what we really need is almost like a proctor system.
Yeah.
Where like kids are able to explore whatever they're interested in. And whatever you excel at, we celebrate you for. Whatever you don't excel at, we're gonna give you a little bit of help to see maybe you can do a little bit better.
Technologically, we're there now.
Right.
We have the ability to put children into a world where they are accelerating or decelerating with somebody there to help deal with it.
One of the things I really love is Khan Academy. I think it's
Khan.
Yeah, Khan Academy. I always say Khan's Academy because I always add the S. I don't know why.
But also, can we all talk for a minute about the fact that Khan,
Yeah.
K-A-H-N?
K-H-A-N.
K-H-A-N.
Yes.
Great guy.
Yeah.
But Khan Academy sounds like someplace maybe I go to learn how to hey,
how to attack people.
I'll tell you what. How do I work out how to get money out of people? I'm just saying.
Funny.
Yeah, you know what, man? Go to the Khan Academy. No one will teach you how to con better than Khan.
I was thinking Khan like the Conqueror, but
Wrath of Khan.
There's so many Khans. Wow, how do we do that? Anyways,
I think it's a con.
Essentially, like one of the things I really liked about it was I could look at videos that I needed to learn. So when I was in class and we were going over a topic and I just didn't understand what the teacher was talking about, I remember specifically I had a math teacher that just wasn't very good at teaching us. And
I had one of those.
and basically I every night I would go home and watch Khan Academy videos of what we just learned in class.
Oh wow, and it helped.
And it helped. It helped me pass the class just because of the fact that the class started so much of the class started off as, well, I can't figure it out, so I'm failing the class.
Okay.
So at some point I realized, wait, I'm gonna fail this class because of the fact that I can't figure it out. I'm gonna have to learn it on my own. And to some extent, I think if the school found a way to do like to make a system where like each child learned what they were like where they were at, and each
Right.
child was progressing as things were moving forward to some extent.
Well,
like each child was moving on their own pace.
the thing okay, so there was a thing that hit me,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe somebody out there knows this guy. I don't even
Mhm.
remember his name. I don't care. The guy that developed all the logarithms for Facebook
Mhm.
to make it profitable.
Mhm.
The goal was to redirect people in a way that kept them there. This
Right.
was a business model.
Right.
This is not for those of you. Oh my God, I hate Facebook. Facebook isn't moving maliciously. They are moving like a corporation is supposed to. They are looking for how to
Yes.
grow.
Yes.
This is where we started. This is
Yes.
the problem. Doesn't mean Facebook is the problem. Facebook can be a problem for other reasons. The mere fact that they're trying to be a business, whatever. I don't agree with that system, but I don't blame them for being part of it.
Right.
But so you take this guy who, for the record, feels really bad
Mm-hmm.
already about, he feels the impact of the obvious answer, which, for the record, they didn't know what the impact was going to be. It's interesting to see as we all go, oh my God, they did this horrible thing. They were trying to figure out how to get people to be on Facebook longer because they had to monetize and figure out how to make ad dollars. This is a
Right.
business.
Right.
Before that, they didn't have any money other than people believing in them.
Right.
Hey, anybody believe in us? Um, so if we redirect him towards education,
Right. I definitely think that
that we have a weird moment where, man, there is so much technology out there, and I constantly am like, oh, I see these Legos, we could build this thing. They're all separate. One of the downfalls of the system Noam Chomsky was talking about, Chomsky. You know what? They're very the same. Anyways, is that we're caught in this system. So I think part of the reason we brought this to an education discussion is I think that's actually
That's how you fix the
that as
work
much as
discussion. I
we
get you.
look at the damage here and we
I
go,
get
this
you.
is, oh, I got to fix this.
Right.
And this happens to us all the time
You gotta wind it back a little bit to where it came from.
to where it came from.
Right.
I'd argue that as we're really bad a lot of times dealing with symptoms of a problem instead of dealing with the problem. You know, that
Definitely.
what you brought up is best illustrated by the fact that the oligarchs are running the world right now. That if you have money, it ends up there are advantages, political advantages even. But I don't see specific actors as anything more than symptoms. That I've seen people that I thought, wow, you're illustrating the symptomatic problem almost like a caricature of the expectation, but you are legitimately a caricature, and we should note this not only as a, oh my God, but as a, oh wow, this is a symptom of an ongoing problem. That tempers are on the rise because everybody feels stuck in this
You know
thing.
what's funny? There was a point in time when I was like failing pretty bad in school, and it wasn't because I was dumb. It was just because I didn't really have much interest in class and what was going on. I just didn't really want to learn the stuff.
What class? Just out of interest. I apologize for interrupting.
Out of interest, I think it might have been math and
Okay.
stuff like that. Even though math is actually one of my favorite
One of my
subjects,
favorites, but
and
man,
traditionally, whenever I got a really good teacher, I loved math. Basically, like, what happened was, I went to Sylvan Learning,
Okay.
And one of the things I was constantly thinking while I was there is like, how don't we just do this in school? Like it seems
A
like it
lot of
would
the
be.
pieces.
I think I don't remember much about how expensive it was, but I kind of remember it being kind of pricey.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
And to some extent, I was like, why don't schools just do this? Like this
Oh,
seems like such like it was such a I had such an easier time learning things just because of the fact that it was more, I don't know, attentive. And if the schools tried a different model, I think they would find more success.
I think we become obsessed with the idea we know what's right. And so
Definitely.
then we fall down in a very,
Definitely.
there's a really, really simple thing that humans could do.
Mhm.
It's so simple that when you hear it, you're going to be like, well, of course. You're going to be like,
Mhm.
oh, well, absolutely. But then if you look around the world, you'll be like, why don't we do that then? If
Mhm.
that sounds so, let me give it to you. It's this simple. Best practices. It is as simple as going, hey, let's look around and see what works best.
Right.
People, though, become so attached to what they feel is the right answer.
Right.
Most of us go through our world speaking, not listening.
I definitely have a problem with the idea that you need to learn this to survive in the world. And to some extent, that's what school always felt like to me. It always felt like you need to learn this to survive in the world.
I
And
think,
it was like I would look around, and yes, most of my looking around was on the internet. But um,
oh boy, now we're going to delve into a
basically like
teenage boy's life on the internet.
basically
So
like
tell us, what were you
oh
doing on
wow,
the internet as a teenager?
let's not fully have this conversation.
I thought
No,
cut him
but
off in the past.
no, but like I would just come across like so many different people talking about how these different things that you're learning in class, like you're not going to use them. Certain things you're just not going to use, like unless you're in this specific field. And I always I always just wonder like, why isn't there a way to for kids to explore what they're interested in? Why don't we make it easier for kids to explore what they're interested in? To some extent,
Because we're still
yeah,
training for a job.
yeah, definitely.
I think so. I was raised to think that you had to have all of them. Art matters,
Right, right.
STEM matters, a Renaissance
Right.
style of learning. Like, okay,
It's
everything should be absorbed because you're interested.
right.
If you want to know something, go know it. When my grandson was small and got his first or second tablet,
Mhm.
it had safeguards, and I was watching. Don't, freak out here. I explained to him that even though he couldn't type yet,
Mhm.
that if he pushed this button, he could ask it anything he wanted.
Mm.
That we live in a world where, yeah, kids
Yeah.
can excel. And I
Pretty
will say
much.
this:
Yeah.
he learned how to draw.
Right.
Amazing stuff. Like he would randomly decide he wanted to draw, so he came back with drawings of the Statue of Liberty. I mean, that
Right.
were blowing my mind.
Right.
He decided he wanted to know calculus. He copied a lot of formulas. I don't know how much stuck. Wait till we get there.
To some extent, I definitely do think that a lot of why our system doesn't work rests on the parents, and I understand that that's an argument that people make a lot, and that a lot of it is that the parents don't exactly like it's to me it's like, okay, the parents were raised in the system, the kids are raised in this system, so to some extent why are we blaming the parents for not raising their kids right if they
Let's
were raised in the
wait,
same
wait, wait,
system?
wait,
i
wait.
don't
Let's
I don't know.
because you gave the answer at the beginning. At the very beginning, you gave the answer
When
when you quoted no.
mm,
That so the people that we're hoping can raise children
mm-hmm.
are lost in this process of trying to survive so they can give children a life,
Right.
and their head is blown out.
Yep.
I'm gonna tell you straight
Yep.
up, it's blown out.
Yeah.
Um, I have so I fully support the feminist movement. I fully support rights for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest mistake we've ever made is changing two-parent households into no-parent households.
Definitely.
That
Definitely.
um recognizing the amount of work it takes to provide for a family. And once upon a time, one person could work and one person could raise the children.
Mm-hmm.
We've divorced
Now
ourselves
you
from
kind of
raising the
gotta.
children.
Both people gotta work
Well,
to
right.
some extent.
That financially you have to figure out what, because
Not just
understand their
yeah,
motivation though
not
is to
just
give that child a good life.
right,
Just like
right.
that motivation that's grinding them to pieces
Right.
day after day is it isn't selfish.
Well, the thing is, I probably will always believe that the answer to the education problem, the work problem, and stuff like that is to change the way that we teach children, and then it will begin to spread over the years.
Ding,
That's the
ding.
only that's the
Right.
only thing I can see that will ever fix any of this.
So on top of all of this, as we're going, well, everybody's trapped and
Mhm.
everybody has to do this just to survive.
Mhm.
Oh, and by the way, automation is coming.
Mhm.
Automation on a scale you've never conceived.
Mm.
That the reality, one of the big lessons from
Mhm.
the pandemic. Don't you hate it? It always comes back lately. I said this earlier, and Ross like,
Yeah.
God, everything has to come back to the
I
pandemic.
was like, no, why?
We really don't need to all be working.
Yeah.
We're working. Don't get me wrong. We're working for survival and for money, but most of the jobs are unnecessary, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Most of what we're doing is make
creating jobs to create jobs. We're making jobs to make jobs. Literally. I mean, I definitely think that people working less and not okay. I don't think that people can go without work. I don't think that at all. I just think that people don't give themselves enough of that work. They don't give themselves enough of, okay, I have to work at what makes me happy so that I can make other people happy.
Well, the problem.
Not just. I mean, you don't want.
But you live in a Nike world.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the part of the problem is you live in a Nike world.
Right.
So that in the end, as you try to do all these things, you change the schools and everything else, your kids are looking at you going, well, yeah, but I saw on TikTok.
To some extent, like, as I got older, I got over the fact that I didn't have the newest shoes, that I didn't have the newest clothes. I got over that. But it didn't still, like, ruin my self-esteem in the moment when those kids were making fun of me. It didn't still, like, it's still there's still a certain amount of damage that was done by the fact that I live in a system where materialism and putting on for other people is one of the greatest traits you can have.
Yeah.
Like, it's
charisma will take you
praised.
further than brains.
Yeah, like, definitely. The kid who could make everybody laugh had a better time at school than the kid who actually paid attention.
Yeah,
Usually.
but then sometimes it eats the comedians alive after the fact.
Well,
They're
yeah.
telling jokes
Yeah.
because they heard.
Well, I think there's differences in, like, when and where pain can come into the scenario. So I think to some extent some people get a lot of pain early, and then as life goes on they learn to cope with that pain and they learn to deal with it and they learn to live
Life is suffering. No, I
keep
agree.
going. And then there's some people that get lucky early and they don't really experience much pain in the beginning, and they just go through. I don't
think there's anybody.
I
who
don't
doesn't
believe that
experience
there's
struggle.
anybody who doesn't experience struggle. That's not what I'm
I
saying.
mean, I always bring up, Bill and Melinda, Angelina and Brad, in the sense of no matter how rich, no matter how pretty.
No,
struggle.
I just mean that at some point in your life you're gonna learn. You're gonna experience struggle at some point in your life.
Well, I think it's guaranteed every day.
Right.
I don't think anybody. I think.
You think every do you think
I think
that
struggle
every
is
day
universal
involves struggle?
Yes, and I think, well, it's practice. It's working at it. So that's struggle.
Okay.
And I think that's universal.
Okay.
I think that recognizing that struggle in other people and not judging it or measuring it is what true compassion is. True compassion is I see you and I see your struggle. I understand that. I can't judge it. I can't measure it.
Right.
That so much of our social system is about measuring and judging. And I think the hardest part, I get people to go, oh, that makes sense, is that's where it falls apart.
Mm.
That when it comes down to whether it's Gnome talking about our situation as working class heroes, oh, there's John Lennon now, working class hero,
Mm-hmm.
or any of the other pieces we've discussed,
Mm-hmm.
coming to terms with the idea that everybody is coming from a different place and you can't judge that place.
Right.
That solves the education problem,
Right.
solves the work problem,
Yeah.
solves it. I think we're all creators.
Yeah. I think if
It's Tuesday.
I had to get on an Apple box and
Okay, let's hear it.
spit my spiel,
Spit your spiel.
you know, I would definitely go off the idea that every child deserves the opportunity to explore what they want to explore.
I think it's important.
I think that's something.
I think without that,
I
we may
think
miss
that's
answers.
something we don't value as much. Like in my head, like, okay, look at somebody like Prince.
Okay.
Look at how amazing he was. Just
Okay.
in the time that he was born.
Okay.
Imagine if you brought him to 2020.
He almost made it.
Damn. That hurt a little bit different. No,
Are you
but
suggesting that if his education system had been different, he might have come a different path?
not just that, but like, if like I think about like the brilliance that has come out of humans, and I think, okay, what if we gave them a different system? Would the brilliance have come out the same way? Probably not. Would it have been as amazing? Maybe not. But I just think about like the possibilities of what could have happened.
So what I think about when I think about that is I don't think about Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Prince I know.
Okay.
What I think
What do you think
about
about?
is a world where the majority don't receive enough support. We're losing all the princes that we don't see.
Right. Right.
That Prince did make it.
Right.
But a kid that starved to death in Uganda didn't make it.
Right.
And not only didn't make it, but didn't
That's a good point.
have an opening to learn.
That's a good point.
I'm missing the pieces. I don't want to lose any of the pieces. In my head, perspective is a lie.
Right.
So if my perspective is a lie, now I'm interested in everybody else's perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And I worry about the perspectives that are lost.
Mm.
I worry about, so when I talk about the idea of the guy from Facebook then getting involved with education,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking for him to fix American education. I'm looking for a free offering for the world
Right.
that people want and get into that can take them to any level of education.
Mm.
Like, I mean, literally, like beyond imagination.
Mm-hmm.
That it just grows and adds organically. Because serving the master, as Gnome sort of put it at the beginning, you know, being under the yoke of needing to survive.
Mm.
It's really easy to point at everybody and go, see what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
This is the system we built. We blame everybody at the top for the way this system is.
I don't think that this is a system that we built to some extent. I think that humans consistently partake in the system and they consistently contribute to the system. So to some extent, yes, we did make it, but it's like the system was in place before we were here.
And it's which is why
the system's been in place forever.
To bring that back, that's why our education system is based on how to educate people to work.
Right.
That's why
it's how to continue the system moving. Keep the
machine
moving.
It is the system. It's the system we have.
Right.
The greatest quote on this system is, "It's the best bad system we got."
Mm-hmm.
And that's a common. We know it's not perfect.
It reminds me of the stance that I take on like family and stuff, which is, all right, there may be some parts I don't like, there may be some parts I love, but it's the family I got.
Okay. Right.
And I can continue to make changes in the future, and I can continue putting in input and trying to make my mark on this situation, this family, this world, I can continue trying to put in as much as I can to make it better in what ways I see that I can. Or I could sit around and mope about it, be mad.
I
Ah,
try to be actively compassionate.
you know?
I try to, from top to bottom,
Uh-huh.
see people are struggling.
Uh-huh.
That if it's a big political person railing endlessly about little things and always on the attack, I know that their self-esteem is so low that they can't even deal with life.
Mm,
I can see their
mm,
pain.
right.
So it's sometimes a drawback because sometimes, even though people can be total, they are motivated by something, and people truly, in general, mean to do well.
Right.
Sometimes the at any cost is what gets us. It might
Mm-hmm.
get you selling, non-Jewish children
Well,
so you can
the thing is,
blackmail the rest of the world.
I look at like people that don't really want to change the system, and I look at them and I'm like, you've bought in. That's all that is.
I don't think it's. I think that thought is not that deep.
You're so scared. You're so scared of the alternative. Like you haven't even, like I don't know. Like maybe they just haven't even thought about the possibility of the alternative, and you've accepted, to some extent you've accepted what we have now. So you're kind of like, okay, what we have now is what we have. So any changes we could make is bad. I don't know. Like there are some
Humans are change aversive.
Yeah.
For the record, I don't know if you've caught it yet. I keep trying to wind it up. He's
Sorry.
full today.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
I think you're right. The trick is, how do we work on it?
Mhm.
I think you're right that we start with education.
Mhm.
That as much as we start off by identifying, it's the trick, the line we're trying to find,
Mhm.
is where is symptom and where is disease.
Mhm.
We can treat symptom,
Yeah.
but it doesn't change underlying problem.
Mm.
So as we start off by going, here is our situation financially.
Mhm.
And then we look at, here is our situation as far as education. And then we look beyond both at how to live compassionately.
Mhm.
It all comes back to, these are things we should teach in our schools. You and I have been through a variety of therapies that, in the end caused me to have a lot more compassion for
Yeah.
people, to understand other people's struggle.
They're going through something.
Well, and also every conversation I ever had with the people in those situations was, why didn't they teach me this? I would have, if I had known this before I fell off the cliff.
If only I would have known.
I think so much of education today falls into that as much as we are trying to figure out a way to measure children's well-being, teaching to a test isn't out of malice.
No, it's not. It's not
a
at all.
It's trying to figure it out.
It's an attempt to try and make it work. And I don't hate on the I don't mean for all of this to mean that I hate the system or anything. I feel like there's a better way to do it. That's all.
Well, and so we're making a little noise,
You know?
and we're trying to be heard. That we think there are better options.
Definitely.
We see things and we go, hey, I see you right there. You know what? Maybe we should put out a special publication on this one. We
Hey,
might have a solution, eh?
I see you with this. I see you with this wheelbarrow, and I honestly think that you could put like 3 more wheels on there, and it would drive a little bit smoother. Like.
I'm saying we got ideas. See?
Big
You know what I'm saying? I got ideas. Big ideas.
idea. What's the big idea?
What's the big idea? So what's the big idea, folks? You know what? In the end, we're trying to figure it all out. That's what we do. We try and find where those crazy lines are. I must have never. I'm upset. I never actually moved John Lennon over. Noam Chomsky's up there.
Noam Chomsky's up there the whole time.
Noam Chomsky was up there the whole time. Though they will now that it
They'll
goes
see
over,
him now.
It says working class hero.
Yeah.
That, interestingly enough, a working class hero is something to be. I don't. You know what? And John Lennon was writing about what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That as much as it's hyped up,
Uh-huh.
man, working class hero is a rough route.
Yeah.
See y'all tomorrow.
See ya. Sorry if that came across as thinking out loud, because it literally was. So that was a little all over the place. Apologize.